In the Gospel of Thomas, there's a saying that was removed from every version the church approved for public reading. Saying number 73 reads, "The harvest is great, but the laborers are few. Pray therefore to the Lord to send out laborers into his harvest." The church taught this as a call for missionary work, for spreading the gospel, for bringing more people into the church. But the Gnostic Christians who preserved the original context knew what Jesus actually meant. The harvest isn't crops, it's humans, and the laborers aren't missionaries, they're archons, beings that enter the dream state to extract energy, plant thought forms, and program the subconscious while you sleep. And Jesus, in the original teaching that followed this saying, told his inner circle exactly how to stop them. One physical object placed under your pillow before sleep that creates a frequency barrier archons cannot penetrate. The church removed every reference to this object because if Christians knew they could protect their dream state with something this simple, the entire doctrine of spiritual warfare through prayer and priestly intervention would collapse. You wouldn't need a priest to bless your bedroom. You wouldn't need elaborate rituals. You wouldn't need the church at all, and that's exactly why they buried it. Tonight you're learning what that object is, why archons target the dream state more aggressively than waking consciousness, and how to place it under your pillow starting tonight so that your sleep becomes sanctuary instead of harvest field. If you're protecting your dreams tonight, comment "Archons can't touch me right now." The first thing you need to understand is why archons focus so heavily on attacking during sleep. It's not random, it's not opportunistic, it's strategic. When you're awake, you have defenses. Your conscious mind filters input. Your awareness monitors your thoughts. Your will can reject intrusive impulses. You're operating with at least some level of sovereignty. But the moment you fall asleep, every one of those defenses drops. Your conscious mind goes offline. Your critical thinking shuts down. Your will becomes passive. And your subconscious, the part of your mind that controls 90% of your behavior, beliefs, and emotional responses, becomes completely exposed. Archons know this. They've known it since they designed the human body in collaboration with the demiurge. Sleep wasn't created as rest, it was created as access. A built-in vulnerability where the guards go down and the harvesting can happen, uninterrupted, for 6 to 8 hours every single night. In the secret book of John, one of the texts the church tried to burn at Nag Hammadi, there's a passage where the archons are discussing how to maintain control over humanity. And one of them says, "We will make them forget during the day what we plant during the night. And they will think their fears, their doubts, their limitations are their own." That's the entire strategy. Use the dream state to implant programming, and the human will spend their waking hours acting out that programming without ever realizing it came from an external source. Most people have no idea how much of their waking behavior is controlled by what happens to them while they sleep. You wake up feeling drained for no reason. That's not poor sleep quality, that's energy extraction. You wake up with anxiety you can't explain. That's not a chemical imbalance. That's an implanted emotion designed to lower your frequency for the rest of the day. You wake up and spend the entire day thinking about a problem that wasn't even on your mind when you went to bed. That's not your subconscious processing. That's a thought loop installed overnight. And the worst part is, you have no memory of the installation. You don't remember the dream where the fear was anchored. You don't remember the presence that attached the cord to your energy field. You just wake up different and assume that's who you are. The archons have perfected dream state manipulation over thousands of years. They know exactly when to enter, usually during REM sleep, when your consciousness is most malleable. They know exactly what to plant, thought forms calibrated to your specific vulnerabilities. And they know exactly how to make you forget the encounter, suppressing dream recall so you wake up with no evidence of the intrusion. Some chosen ones do remember. They wake up from nightmares of being chased, attacked, paralyzed, sexually violated, or trapped in endless loops of confusion. And they're told by therapists and sleep specialists that these are just stress dreams, subconscious processing, random neural firing. But chosen ones, who've learned to see the truth, recognize what those dreams actually are. Archon attacks documented in symbolic form by a subconscious mind trying desperately to show you what's happening while you're defenseless. Here's what most people don't understand about the dream state. You're not unconscious when you sleep. You're conscious in a different dimension. Your body is lying in bed, but your consciousness, the part of you that's aware, that perceives, that experiences, has shifted into the astral plane. That's where dreams take place. And the astral plane is also where archons operate most freely. They don't have dense physical bodies. They exist as energetic entities, thought forms with intention. And in the astral plane, they're stronger than you because they're in their native environment and you're disoriented, unaware, and undefended. When an archon encounters you in the dream state, it doesn't look like a demon. It looks like whatever will generate the emotional frequency it's trying to harvest. If it wants to feed on fear, it appears as a threat, a shadowy figure, a monster, a dangerous person. If it wants to feed on sexual energy, it appears as a seductive presence, someone attractive, someone irresistible. If it wants to feed on despair, it creates scenarios of loss, failure, hopelessness. Your subconscious mind translates the archon's energetic signature into images and scenarios that make sense within the dream logic. But what's actually happening beneath the symbolism is energetic extraction. The archon is siphoning your emotional energy in real time. And because you think you're just dreaming, because you think none of it is real, you don't resist. You just experience the fear, the lust, the despair, and the archon feeds. Jesus knew all of this. He taught his inner circle that sleep was the most dangerous time for chosen ones, because that's when the archons have unrestricted access. And he gave them a solution so simple, so accessible, so effective that the church had no choice but to erase it. One object placed under the pillow that creates a frequency field the archons cannot cross. The object is a piece of iron, not steel, not alloy, pure iron. Unprocessed, unrefined, as close to its natural mineral state as possible. A small iron nugget, an iron nail, a piece of raw iron ore. Something you can place under your pillow without discomfort, and the moment you do, the moment your head rests above iron, your dream state becomes protected. Let me explain why this works. Iron is one of the few materials in physical reality that carries a frequency archons cannot tolerate. It's not symbolic. It's not metaphorical. Iron emits a specific electromagnetic signature, and that signature disrupts the energetic coherence of non-physical entities trying to operate in its field. In ancient Gnostic texts, iron is called the metal of the monad, the one substance the demiurge could not fully corrupt because it retained a harmonic link to source consciousness. The demiurge built the material world using corrupted elements, substances that could be manipulated, controlled, used to trap consciousness. But iron, because of its unique atomic structure, resisted full corruption. It retained a frequency anchor to the monad, and when you place iron under your pillow, you're placing a piece of monad frequency directly beneath your head. Your crown chakra, the energetic gateway through which archons most often enter during sleep, is now positioned directly above a frequency field they cannot penetrate. In the Gospel of Philip, there's a line that says, "Iron sharpens iron, and one person sharpens another." The church interpreted this as community accountability, believers refining each other. But the Gnostics knew it was a direct reference to iron's protective properties. The text was telling chosen ones, use iron to sharpen your defenses. Use iron to protect your consciousness. And the most effective application of that teaching was placing iron under the pillow during sleep. The early Gnostic communities practiced this universally. Every initiate was given a small piece of iron on the night of their awakening and told, "Keep this beneath your head when you sleep. The Archons will try to reclaim you. The iron will stop them." And it worked. Chosen ones who slept with iron reported the same thing. The nightmares stopped. The night terrors ended. The feeling of being watched in the dark disappeared. And most significantly, they stopped waking up drained. Their energy stayed intact through the night. Because the Archons couldn't access them, the iron created a sanctuary. Here's what happens when you place iron under your pillow tonight. Within the first hour of sleep, your consciousness will shift into the astral plane as it always does. But this time, the iron beneath your head is broadcasting a frequency signature into that plane. The Archons who would normally approach, who would normally scan for your energetic signature and move in to attach, will perceive the iron's frequency and stop. They won't cross it. It's not that the iron repels them, it disrupts their coherence. If they try to enter the field the iron is generating, their energetic structure destabilizes. They start to lose form, and self-preservation overrides their desire to feed. They redirect to easier targets, humans who aren't sleeping above iron. The first night, you'll notice the quality of your sleep changes. You'll fall asleep faster. You'll sleep deeper, and you'll wake up feeling more rested than you have in years. That's not placebo. That's the absence of energetic extraction. Your body is finally getting the restoration sleep was designed to provide before the Archons hijacked it. The second and third night, your dreams will start to change. If you've been having chaotic, anxiety-driven, or disturbing dreams, they'll begin to calm. The narrative will become more coherent. The emotional intensity will stabilize. That's because the Archons who are generating those dream scenarios to harvest your emotional frequency can't access you anymore. Your subconscious is now dreaming without external interference. And subconscious dreams, dreams that aren't being manipulated by Archons, are always more peaceful, more meaningful, and more aligned with your true self. By the end of the first week, you'll notice a shift in your waking state. The anxiety you couldn't explain will have lessened. The intrusive thoughts that plagued you will have quieted. The emotional heaviness you carried for no reason will have lifted. That's not because the iron is healing you during the day. It's because the iron is protecting you at night. And without the nightly implantation of fear, doubt, and limitation, those states have nothing to sustain them. They dissolve naturally. Some chosen ones report even more dramatic changes. They start having lucid dreams, dreams where they're fully aware, they're dreaming, and can navigate the astral plane consciously. That's not a side effect of the iron, that's your natural state. Humans were designed to be conscious in the dream state. The Archons suppressed that ability because a conscious dreamer can't be harvested. They can see the Archon approaching. They can refuse engagement. They can wake themselves up. The iron doesn't give you lucidity. It removes the interference that was preventing lucidity. And once that interference is gone, your natural consciousness in the dream state returns. Other chosen ones report encounters in dreams where they meet guides, teachers, or other awakened beings who give them information, instructions, or initiations. These aren't fantasies, they're real meetings happening in the astral plane. But before you place the iron under your pillow, the Archons were blocking those encounters. They would intercept you before you could reach the guides. They would scramble the messages. They would make you forget the meeting entirely. The iron clears the path, it keeps the Archons out. And once they're out, you have access to the beings and information that were always trying to reach you. Now, here's the critical part. Not all iron works the same way. Processed iron, iron that's been heavily refined, mixed into alloys, coated, or shaped through industrial processes, has a weakened frequency. It still carries some protective properties, but they're diluted. The most effective iron is raw iron ore, iron in its natural mineral state, or hand-forged iron that hasn't been chemically treated. You can find raw iron ore online, at metaphysical shops, or at rock and mineral stores. A piece the size of a coin is enough. You don't need a large chunk, you just need pure iron. If you can't find raw ore, an old iron nail works. The older the better. Iron that's been exposed to the elements, that's rusted naturally, that's been in the earth, retains more of its original frequency than factory fresh iron. Some chosen ones use iron pyrite, also called fool's gold. It's not pure iron, it's iron sulfide, but it carries a similar frequency signature and works almost as effectively. Whatever form you choose, the key is placement. The iron must be under your pillow, not beside your bed, not on a nightstand under the pillow, directly beneath where your head rests. The closer the iron is to your crown chakra, the stronger the protective field. You place the iron there before you sleep, and you set an intention. This part is important. The iron has inherent protective properties, but when you consciously activate it with intention, the effect amplifies. You hold the iron in your hand, you close your eyes, and you speak, either out loud or silently in your mind, "This iron is my sanctuary. While I sleep, no entity may cross its field. My dreams are my own. My energy is my own. I am protected." That's it. You don't need elaborate ritual. You don't need candles or prayers or invocations. You just state your intention clearly. And the iron, resonating with monad frequency, amplifies that intention into the astral plane. The archons will sense it immediately, and they'll know you're no longer accessible. Some chosen ones worry that placing iron under the pillow will attract archon attention, that the archons will try harder to break through because they know you're defending yourself. That's not how it works. Archons operate on efficiency. They're harvesters, not warriors. They go after the easiest targets, the humans who have no defenses, no awareness, no protection. When you place iron under your pillow, you stop being an easy target, and they don't escalate. They just move on. There are billions of humans sleeping unprotected every night. The archons have no shortage of harvest opportunities. They don't waste energy trying to break through a defense when there are so many undefended fields available. The only exception is if you're a particularly high-frequency chosen one, someone whose energy is more potent, more valuable than the average human. In that case, archons may have been targeting you specifically, investing more effort into your harvest because the yield is higher. If that's you, the first few nights with iron under your pillow might be turbulent. You might experience intensified dreams, increased sleep disturbances, or even waking up in the middle of the night feeling watched. That's not the iron failing. That's the archons attempting to intimidate you into removing the protection. They're trying to make you think the iron is causing the disturbance, when in reality, the iron is blocking them and they're panicking. If this happens, you don't remove the iron, you double down. You place a second piece of iron under the pillow. You restate your intention more forcefully. And you hold the line. Within 3 to 5 nights, the disturbances will stop. The archons will recognize they can't break through, and they'll disengage. After that, your sleep will be the most peaceful you've ever experienced. There's another application of iron that Jesus taught to the inner circle. If you're experiencing waking attacks, intrusive thoughts, sudden emotional crashes, or the feeling of being oppressed during the day, you carry a small piece of iron in your pocket. Same principle. The iron generates a protective field around your energy body. Archons scanning for targets will sense the frequency and avoid you. It's not a complete shield. Archons can still attack you during waking hours if they're determined. But the iron makes you significantly more difficult to access, and most of the time, that's enough. They move on to easier prey. The church removed all references to iron's protective properties because they couldn't monetize it. You don't need a priest to bless iron. You don't need the church to acquire iron. It's abundant, accessible, and effective on its own. If Christians knew they could protect themselves from demonic oppression with a piece of metal they could find in the ground, the entire structure of spiritual dependence on the church would collapse. And that's exactly why the teaching was erased, but the Gnostics preserved it. They passed it from teacher to student in secret. They encoded it in texts the church didn't fully destroy. And now it's reaching you. Jesus revealed one object that stops archons from entering your dreams: iron, placed under your pillow before sleep, creating a frequency sanctuary that archon coherence cannot penetrate. It's not symbolic. It's not ritual. It's technology. Physical matter holding monad frequency and broadcasting it continuously while you sleep. The early Gnostics used it every night. They knew sleep was the primary battlefield. They knew the archons targeted the dream state more than any other. And they knew iron was the simplest, most effective defense. Tonight, you're getting that same protection. You're going to find a piece of iron, place it under your pillow, state your intention, and sleep in sanctuary for the first time in your life. And tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up different, more rested, more clear, more yourself. Not because the iron healed you, because the iron stopped the nightly harvest. And without that drain, your natural energy, your natural clarity, your natural frequency returns. If you're placing iron under your pillow tonight, do 3 things right now. First, comment "Archons can't touch me" below and commit to 7 nights of protected sleep. Second, subscribe to Divine Codes because the advanced protection protocols using iron are coming. Third, like this video so other chosen ones discover they can stop the dream harvest before the archons suppress this teaching again. Do all 3 now. Then tonight, get your piece of iron. It doesn't need to be expensive. It doesn't need to be large. Raw iron ore, an old nail, a chunk of pyrite, whatever you can find. Place it under your pillow. Hold it first. State your intention. This iron is my sanctuary. No entity may cross its field. My dreams are my own. Then sleep. And for the first time in years, maybe for the first time in your entire life, you'll sleep without being harvested, without being programmed, without being drained. The archons will sense the iron's frequency. They'll recognize you're protected, and they'll move on. You'll wake up tomorrow restored. And you'll know the difference between sleep under archon access and sleep under monad protection. It's undeniable. You don't need faith, you just need iron. Jesus gave this to the chosen ones 2,000 years ago. The church buried it. The Gnostics preserved it. And tonight it's yours. Place the iron, speak the intention. Sleep protected. The archons can't enter your dreams anymore. You're untouchable.